So this is the new design for the side rail that I'm thinking about, and I thought I'd show you a little bit about why I'm doing this. I'm going to select this particular component. I'm going to make a move with it, and I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to make a move with the body. I'm going to rotate it around an axis, so I'm going to rotate it around this shaft here, and I should get, oops, I'm not. Here we go. There, select, there. Now I can rotate this, and I want you to watch these pins as they come up to the top. They're two different pieces, and you'll see how it rotates. See how it can rotate, okay? Those pins are stops, so the truck will rotate on the frame, the chassis frame, but it will only rotate till that pin hits. So if we put in that much suspension at that point, you can see you get a good 2 millimeters of travel at each wheel, which is quite a bit, I would think. And that's kind of what I think is a better option to suspension, where I had ovals in here and I was letting the wheel go up and down. I think that was not a good idea. It was putting pressure on the frame itself, and I think it just wasn't going to work so well. So what we're going to do, I think now, is look at this design. I'm going to have to make one and test it, and then compare it with some other things. I put a wheel diameter on here just so we make sure we had enough wheel, and then I can rearrange some of these top pieces, make sure there's enough room for everything, and you know, take some tweaking once I get this mechanism to function properly. But I did kind of look at some other pieces to see. So this pin, if I can show you this, let's see, if I go here and bring this over and then say I'm going to make a move again, this time I'm going to move this part, and I'm just going to make it a straight out. I'm going to pull this piece off, okay? So this now is the side rail, all right? And there's a wheel in here somewhere. We just ignore that for now. And so we'll say, okay, I moved it, and there's the wheel back there. But you see how the pivot now is just a simple piece, and now there's these shapes here. I'm going to think about this. It's hard to make those kinds of shapes, but what I'm going to do, I think, is take off this detail here, take all this off, and actually create a plate that I glue on the outside that has all of the detail. So I print it flat, I print this flat, print on both of them on this side so you know they're flat, and then just line them up and glue them together. And that way I can have good flat finish on this side, and it'll make that mechanism work, I think, a lot nicer for us. Okay, and that hole there, that hole is ovalated, but it won't be, it's going to be like this. So the wheel will be stationary with a bronze bushing in an axle, and I got the bushings. I may have to increase the size of this, but that's got plenty of meat. And then when I fit this together, I just put all the wheels together and I slide them in, put a screw in there, and they're locked in. And so the weight isn't a screw head pulling through plastic. The weight is this plastic piece here pushing on this one, trying to break it upwards. And if you look at the side view of this thing, it's not going to move. It's not going anywhere. It's a pretty beefy chunk right there, so it's going to be fine. And then it will pivot the same as it did earlier with those wear surfaces and all that. And the only thing I got to worry about anymore on this truck is clearance for this wheel. This is not flanged. There is a flange on these things. All you're seeing is the big flat brass piece, but when I put the flange on, it comes in there pretty tough, so I got to be careful with that. But I think I'm on track. And I did have a problem with the printer, and somehow I made a change, or somebody did, and then as you can see, the nozzle temperature is, if you can see it, 225. That's Celsius, by the way. And it somehow got down to 200, which is just not enough. And the plastic was too thick to press out, and it was just clogging. So I raised it to 220 and 225. 225 seems to flow really good, and it's sticking, so that's a good thing. Now this is a very long print, and I had a big delay, so this may not get done until 7:30 tonight. It's going to be fairly detailed, and it could be near, you know, final. I imagine a few tweaks, but I'm trying to shoot for near final so that we can get going. Okay, the final print is going to be in this material, carbon fiber PTEG. This is for chassis parts, and it has high strength, and it's a flat black. So it'll be a carbon fiber enhanced plastic. So it'll be black and strong. Okay, well, that's where I'm at. Fiddling with this. Oh, and I did get I have all these things going on here, right? I got the little base plate made, and I put these pieces on here like this, and they can slide in. They can slide in, and then I line the base up to it, and there'll be 3 holes here. You see that? So the base will line up with these 3 holes, and I'll screw the base and the plate together, then I'll screw the base to this. So it's kind of an assembly as you build, but that's the best I can do. The challenge is I'm going to have to fasten these on here with some tie wraps maybe, or some adhesive of some kind. Plus they've got to be insulated from each other. Oh, and then they have to be wired to other stuff, right? So it'll be exciting when we get to it. There's a tiniest little notch right here for all the wires to come out and go forward, and I think I'm just going to use that notch. I'm going to try to keep the wires down. As far as going forward, there'll be at least 4, maybe 6. It's the best I can do, and that's sort of where I'm at. This is the piece that I found that I liked, how the pivot worked, and I'm mimicking what they have done, only in our chassis design, you know, taking our chassis and making it work this way. I found that to be, I think, good, solid, safe. It's not going to be that big, of course. It's going to try to relate to the original. I'm going to think about how to do the design on the front. This is the one I showed you the other day. It's pretty well done. Everything worked well, fitted together, trucks, all that. Got some new brass bushings that I'm going to put into the sides, and that'll help get us 1, contact for electrical, and 2, friction reduction. So I'm excited about that. I did order a smaller bushing, but it seems it's a little more difficult to get the shaft. The shaft has to then be machined to that diameter. That's not working out too well. So I go to the bigger one, and it's longer, but I'm going to try to see what I can come up with as far as that piece and the little cap that we have that we put on there for the that looks like the grease box. You know, I'm going to see if we can't do something with that to help hide some of this if it comes through. So that's where I'm at. I got my goodies over here. I got my jumpers. I got connectors for wiring. I've got a magnetic switch. This is a reed switch. It goes by a magnet and it turns on. It closes. And that's another way of getting the chuff synchronized. And then I got some PC boards that are just blank boards, and I can put components on them and stuff like that. So as I get into the engine, we got to have a way of mounting our rectifier and some other components, and this has a variety of sizes. It has some small boards. I can cut them down if I want with my saw, so I'll be able to fit those in. And we should be close. That's your chassis, that's your engine. This was your tender. We're probably not going to go with that one. Probably going to go with something like this so that you can get this sleeker looking piece, I think. And if you can paint it, I think it'll look great. And then this all will be inside, and there's more room for that, so that's the story. All right, let me set this up somewhere so you can get to it. I may share it. I don't know if it's worth sharing, but it's really pretty specific to your engine. All right, later.